6 October 2012. This is the experiment number 2 of solar biodiesel tubes. The first experiment that you saw was one of the tubes that I had made clear. These two tubes are the actual tubes as purchased from Apricus that have the dark blue solar coating to absorb solar energy. What I did here, it's a nice sunny afternoon in Beaverton, Oregon. I'm here at my and we set this up. So I'll describe the layout and just briefly see what's going on. Just kind of picture it here. I will describe this in a voiceover later on, or an audio file. But essentially we're depending on the sun's energy here to push liquids around and get reactions going. Just want to make note of one key observation here is that after we formed these connections at 1330, we pulled the towel covers off. We had been shading them from the sun while we connected things and plumbed things up. And we pulled the connections off, and they're facing due south right now. And 38 minutes later, we saw a flow of methanol input. Up to that point, we had seen a little bit of flow of vegetable oil in and out of the system. I hypothesized that it was basically because the vegetable oil was heating up and expanding, so to make room, it had to just kind of expand and push some of it out. And we've got a check valve in the system down here, the gas port, which doesn't allow backflow against bottle pressure, but these two Coke canisters, or the Coke kegs, do allow for backflow into them, and at various points there was a little bit of backflow before it was at steady state. It's now been about 42 minutes since it began to heat in the sunlight energy, and as designed, the methanol appears to be expanding and possibly boiling, which is going to create pressure and push out contents. Now, as evidence of what's going on here, I want to take a look in here. I don't know if it's easily visible, but you can actually see glycerin drop out. Alright, I need to be gentle here and get that in the light. I hope that shows up in the camera because I can't see, but if you can see that brown stuff at the bottom of the methanol output, this is just two tubes, methanol coming out, top layer. It's picking up mono and diglycerides, and that's most likely what the brown substances is, mono and diglycerides, so half reacted vegetable oil, and it probably is continuing to react in the tub here to form some actual glycerin, which is proof of biodiesel. Now the thing is for this test, the design goal, or the purpose of this test, is just to prove that we can get flow into and out of the system by gas pressure alone. Not to actually make biodiesel. There's too few tubes. I'd need a larger tube array. The big issue so far to date has been the difficulty of coming up with a engineered ported plug system to allow for those tubes to go in and out at the top. I'm just going to jump up there. Here, John, can you point that on the... Can you get a close-up? Okay. Hopefully it shows up good in the camera. It's hard. We're looking to get some shade, but down in there is a black polyethylene ported plug. It's an O-ring design, and it's supposed to be sealing these tubes so that the inputs and outputs can go in and out of that, basically a plastic cork. And I've got some quick fit disconnects, push to connects, to connect the tubes together. Well, this is version 1.0 of this ported plug, this fancy cork design, and I don't think it's working too well because we've had some drip over here at this interface. I've had some leakage. And then because I had placed this into my car a couple nights ago, and I covered it with towels to keep it out of the sunlight so it wouldn't heat up, nevertheless, because I had pre-charged the tubes with methanol and vegetable oil, some reaction began to happen because right here, you can see at the end of my glove there, that is mono and diglycerides, which is proof that you're starting to have biodiesel reaction going on. So even cold, just putting the fluids together in these long tall tubes got the reaction started, which is no surprise, over a couple of days. But now we actually have flow. We have methanol coming in from the gas, from a tiny bit of gas pressure from the nitrogen bottle. It's only like, I'm not even registering 1 psi on the gauge, so it's just a tiny bit above atmospheric coming out of that Coke keg and coming into the first tube. This is tube number 1. And then you can see here every once in a while you'll see some bubble movement of these small lines as vegetable oil passing, vegetable oil and half reactive vegetable oil passing from tube 1 to tube 2. So basically it's just establishing a steady state, going to let it continue to heat up, continue to react, and try to capture some more evidence. So more video later.